had a session this morning, a self-healing consult, and an idea came up that I have written about before on my blog. And it's a tool, or really a mentality, for how we overcome indecision. And I use indecision as a kind of blanket term because really it's a lot more than that. Indecision can lead to inaction, fear, anxiety, paralysis, self-doubt, a lack of self-trust, and procrastination. Because if we're not sure what we want, then, or we're not sure if we're able to accomplish what we think we want, then we end up in that cycle of inaction and putting things off. Talking about manifestation, let's say, we're always focused on how we get what we want. But I think the problem is not mostly in the how. I think the block comes from a lack of clarity and authenticity with regards to what we truly need and desire. And I have found that because in my own experience of manifestation, the things that I manifest the most quickly and immediately are things that I really genuinely want, and it's like they bubble out of me out of such an authentic need and soul craving that I'm actually very confident that I will get them, because I know that that desire is coming from the right place. There are so many reasons that our authentic desires can become obscure to us. One, of course, is our parental conditioning, our socio-cultural programming, what we see others doing, what their version of success looked like, how they got there, their modus operandi. And we don't necessarily know that what comes naturally and is easeful to us is possible, right? We only know that that is our inclination. And so because we don't trust the how, and we're not sure about how what we want is possible, we then start to double back and doubt what it is that we want. We start letting the how interfere with the what, and then the what gets tangled and unclear, and therefore much harder to manifest. So how do we bring it back into focus? How do we bring our clear desires back into focus? Well, we start to assume that success is inevitable. I'm not saying that success is inevitable. I'm saying that mentally, as an exercise, if we put ourselves in that mind state that success is inevitable no matter what we do. So let's take work, for example. If we were to look at any career path, any professional task that we're doing in the day, and we were to assume that success, financial rewards, peer recognition, fulfillment, and growth in our field was completely inevitable, there's nothing we could do to fail or mess it up, then we can ask ourselves, okay, with success being inevitable, what is it that I want to do? What's the project I want to focus on? What's the move I want to make? Where do I want to work? Who do I want to work with? And that reveals back to us what it is that we actually want to be striving towards. And this works when we think about meta questions and we're trying to make life decisions about what direction to take, but it also works throughout the day. If you're looking at the task in front of you, you might be procrastinating something, or you might have an idea of something you want to do, but you're not sure that you're equipped to it and you kind of put it off. If you were to assume that you couldn't fail at that task, it would be so much easier to dive in right away. And while I said that this is a mental exercise, I also think that this applies to our actual success in something, because when we are diving into something, even if we're not doing as much preparation, we're much more likely to learn while on the job, through experimentation, through getting our hands dirty and being involved, rather than sitting on the sidelines and waiting for what seems like the perfect moment and set of conditions in which to engage and experiment. So this has a real practical function as well. So let's say you're thinking about having a difficult conversation with a friend, someone you've been meaning to talk to something about. If you were to assume that it was guaranteed to go well, you wouldn't necessarily put it off. You'd come into that situation with an open heart and absolute transparency and respect for your own position, and trust that it would be well received. And then you're more likely to communicate effectively, clearly, and truthfully, and it probably will be better received than if the message is stilted and manipulated and you're like maneuvering to what you think the other person's expectations are and how that would modify the integrity of your message, which would then affect its reception as well. So if you're looking at these different options in your life and you're feeling this indecision, take them all in front of you. See the different choices. Assume that you would have success in each of these paths. It would be impossible to fail, and then see which one jumps out at you, which is the one that you want the most. And that will reflect back to your most authentic desires, stripped of the programming, the fear, the self-doubt. And ultimately, all of those things are what creates indecision. So indecision will be removed as well.
1 mile in fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles.